Alright boys, it's been a while since we did another NBA video, and with the offseason already into full effect and a bunch of rumors slash confirmed news being put out there within the last week and a half, I thought it'd be fitting to actually just make a video to discuss a bunch of the shit that's been bombarding Reddit, ESPN, all sports news outlets. So obviously the first big news was the Anthony Davis to Los Angeles, and I don't even know how much they gave up. All I know was it's like a 5-team deal at this point. I mean, you look at the Reddit guys, it's fucking insane, like what's going on right now. Now you're gonna have LeBron, Anthony Davis, whether or not that makes them a favorite next year for the Western Conference or even for the championship, I'm not too certain. I think that they will be a favorite to get out of the West. Just because Golden State's, unfortunately, completely banged up, and we still don't know the movements of KD, who right now, has jeopardized his injury, or his career, I should say, with a torn Achilles. Now, everyone's saying he will be back. He will be back. And when I say everyone, I'm talking about mainly people that watch too much of ESPN and take it seriously, rather than just entertainment. Granted, there are some informative aspects of it. Now, when people like Stephen A. Smith say he will be back, wait for him a year, give him the max contract, they're expecting that KD is going to be able to recover from an Achilles injury. Like, this isn't a fucking, broken leg Paul George situation. That's a terrible example, but this isn't like, a sprained ankle or anything. This is a torn Achilles. Literally, we lost Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba, to an Achilles injury. He was never the same again after that Achilles tear. You can look at the tape. Look at the tape. He was carrying the Lakers to the playoffs. One-man show when he was 33, 34 years old. Boom. Down goes his Achilles. Never the same again. Can't beat anyone off the dribble. Can't make a single shot. Man had to retire after that. Right? But he tried his damn hardest. Look at fucking Boogie. Alright? Now you can say, oh, he was rusty. No, listen, man. Boogie, prior to his injury, man was everything you wanted in a stretch five. Could light people up from the three-point line, could drive in, could, hustle in. The man's not the same. Now, we have to wait a little bit on Boogie, because he came back from an Achilles, then got injured again, a tear in his leg, or something like that. I'm not too sure of the injury. All I know is Boogie's been injured for a while, so we're gonna have to wait to see. But recent evidence does not point well to the fact that KD will be 100% the player he was, and he's 30 years old. He comes back after missing a year. He's gonna be 31, 32. Fast approaching 32. And historically speaking, the NBA post-wall age, where everyone just has a massive dip, is 34 plus. Right? That's when you usually see performance really start to take a hit. Now, next big piece of news, and we're going to go to the most important one very quickly, but the next big piece of news is going to be the fact that Boston might be looking to land Kemba Walker, and they're very likely to. I watched the draft as well, and the one thing that really mystified me about Boston was, you let Aaron Baines go, which is fine. You lost Horford. Okay. But why in the hell would you not draft a big man? Maybe there weren't any good big men in the draft for them, but if you lose your two only bigs, you can't, your backcourt isn't the Splash Brothers. You're not going to win playing super small ball. You need someone above the height of 6'8", 6'9", that's bulky enough to grab boards and, and protect the paint. You can't just tell a rookie to kind of take over that position. So I have no fucking clue what Boston's going to do with their big man situation. They're going to have to sign someone in free agency along with Kemba Walker, and then that creates problems in terms of cap, because Kemba, is going to demand a max contract, and they're most likely going to have to give it to him, just because I don't see them sticking with Rozier and using the remaining, what is it, 27 million to 30 million to fill out the rest of the roster. I just don't see that happening. I think Rozier is going to be gone, and then bring in Kemba Walker, and then they have to either go over the tax completely or try to figure something else out. But They may even have to do a trade with one of either Tatum or Brown, just because rumors have it true that Clint Capella is on the table. There's no way in hell you're going to get Capella, Walker, Tatum, Brown, and Hayward as a starting lineup. That's just not going to happen. All right, so we're going to move on to the most important piece of news, and that is what many people still do not know. Where the hell is Kawhi Leonard going to land in free agency? Now, we already knew prior to even him coming to the Toronto Raptors that he was initially only interested in Los Angeles and New York. Like, those are the two main destinations. And, a lot of reports are saying he was okay, whereas other reports were saying he was not. I'm going to tend to err on the side of the Chris Haynes report, just because I actually think that Chris Haynes, out of everyone that's been reporting on Kawhi, is the most accurate. And whether or not that's news you want to hear, it's just something we're going to have to face. He has probably the closest link, or the most direct link, with Uncle Dennis, who has not direct, but has a major influence over Kawhi and knows what he's going to do, right? So I personally think right now it's basically a three-headed race. Like, it's between both Lakers teams and the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Toronto Raptors, I'll tell you something right now. If he leaves the Toronto Raptors, I could care less. Like, he already did his job. He won a championship. And, when the trade was made, and I was initially skeptical of it because I wasn't sure we were going to get the same Kawhi Leonard. He hadn't played for pretty much a whole season, and we had just lost DeMar DeRozan. I was worried that Lowry was going to be pissed off and that was going to bleed over into the locker room and yada, 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 right? Needless to say, I'm glad I was proven wrong. But even so, when I saw the trade about a year ago, I told myself that the only way I felt like this was worth it, and this is someone who is a diehard DeRozan fan, despite all his problems, right? The only way this trade was worth it is if he gets us a chip. So even the most diehard DeRozan fans right now have got to be like, you know what? This was worth it. Because he did everything. He did everything. He came in, he won the chip for us. And if he leaves, okay, that's fine. Toronto can go back into rebuilding. You guys who are worrying about him being poached by the Lakers, I'm going to tell you something right now. I do not see him, even though I called this a three-headed race, I don't see Kawhi going to the Lakers. Now, I could very well be wrong, but I just don't see it happening because Kawhi is not someone who wants to form a super team. He doesn't need a super team. The man is like literally a dynasty killer. Not the dynasty killer. Right? Now there's always, people are going to tell you a bunch of things like, oh, well, he had help from this person, so he's not really a dynasty killer, or the dynasty was already at its end. Listen, it doesn't matter what individual people think. All that matters is the narrative. And Kawhi, he's going to hear that dynasty killer narrative. And that's, it's not going to matter that he had help from, the fact that the Heat were at the end of the rope, or the Spurs were, peaking at the moment. Peaking is not really an accurate term, but they were doing well. Same thing with Toronto. No one's going to mention that, KD was hurt or Clay was hurt, but in the larger picture of things, right? U.S. media is always going to do that because it's the U.S. media. They like to shit over Canada all the time, right? Now, something else. The Clippers. We haven't heard much from them after the past 2 days because everything has just been Lakers, Lakers, Lakers. ESPN is basically Lakers Central at this point. And then you have Adrian Wojnarowski, who, my God, the man literally, Steve Ballmer literally has his hand shoved so far up Wojnarowski's ass, he's making him talk like a fucking puppet. Woj has lost so much credibility this year, guys. Woj, not good anymore. I sincerely think that, Jesus, what the fuck happened? He got bought out by special interests. That's literally what happened to Woj. But yeah, I think the Clippers have a higher chance than the Lakers. And then, it's between whether or not he thinks that, Kawhi, he thinks that winning in Toronto was worth it and he wants to run it back again. Because you have Marc Gasol, who opted in, Danny Green, who's basically going to probably be willing to take whatever Toronto gives him. Right? He wants the most amount of money as he can get. He's gonna be overpaid, but you know what? He's more of a glue guy with Serge Ibaka. So if you're Toronto, you'll take that deal. That, and you really want to overpay for JJ Redick? when Green can defend better. I mean, Green's not good as good of a shooter anymore, but still, like, there's no need, right? So, yeah, I still think Toronto has the highest chance in retaining him. I do not see the Lakers at play. I do not see the New York Knicks at play. The New York Knicks in free agency at this point, like everything has gone terrible for them so far. Like their hesitance they're gonna offer KD the max, right? But whether or not we still have to see whether or not KD moves. I don't think KD will move. I think KD will stay in Golden State. Unless he feels super offended about the fact that they fucking screwed up his medical diagnosis. Like, he got bad advice from multiple people, yada, yada, yada. Everything is still difficult to tell. But bottom line, I do not see the Lakers having much of a chance to land Kawhi Leonard. I don't see him wanting to, like, go to LA. The Lakers, and forming probably the biggest super team ever. Like, I just don't see that happening. I think, if anything, Kawhi is more likely to go to the Clippers over the Lakers. And even though he's expected to take a meeting with the Lakers, and that's got Clippers people worried. If I were the Clippers, you're pretty much the only competition you have in signing him is Toronto, and this likewise for Toronto. You don't worry about the fucking Lakers, guys. Just don't worry. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I'm gonna be doing more NBA offseason videos as well. I wanted to do one about the draft, but let's be real. This was a lottery pick draft. I mean, really, anything I could have broken down or told you guys, you could have like read or even watched or seen if you watched the draft yourself. Like, not too interesting, but yeah, I'll see you guys in a couple of days when more news comes out.